Hi, I'm Bob Acton, the host of the Color and Ceramics podcast. My guest today is Drew Caines, a ceramic artist based in Leeds in the north of England, who has been working with clay for almost 30 years. Drew creates richly textured, often sculptured work that brings together influences from very different points in human history. He draws inspiration from ancient Palaeolithic, Mesolithic, and Neolithic art, folklore, and ethnography, while also pulling in contemporary influences such as street art and pop art. There is a wonderful sense of something both ancient and strangely familiar in Drew's work. Pattern, texture, intricate detail are central to his making, but beneath the surface is a deeper interest in memory, emotion, and our connection to the people who made things thousands of years before us. I'm delighted to welcome Drew to the Color and Ceramics podcast. Drew, thank you so much for joining us today on the Color and Ceramics podcast. We are pumped to have you on board, and we're really looking forward to having a conversation with you.
Good. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. I really love your work, and you've got some really interesting new things coming up. And so maybe we can have a chat about that at some point. But like most artists, this process of being an artist takes time. It's not something that happens overnight. And so I wonder if you could take us back to the beginning and tell us a little bit about your journey into clay.
Okay, this is a long story then.
Okay,
Um,
sure.
so when I was like a very small child, I don't know if you have plasticine in
Yeah,
Canada.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so modeling clay. My mum and dad took me to their friend's house, and their son, I still remember his name, even though this was like 54 years ago, Peter Donaldson. So I was already playing a lot with plasticine, but he had like a tray and he had tools with his plasticine, and he'd made a crocodile, and he'd used do you know tweezers?
Yeah, yeah.
He'd used tweezers. He'd like pinched the back of the crocodile to make the texture, and it like like I said, I was about 6, and it just totally blew my mind. So I went home. I got a tray. I got my mum's tweezers. I got tools, any knives and anything I could find, and then I was obsessed. And I think that was the start of it. And then I've had many meandering. I've taken many meandering paths to where I am today, but that was the start of it, really.
Very cool to get hooked by a particular event in some way, right? Some of us touch clay. Some people like you started in early childhood, some people later in life. And so it's great to hear that story. Well, tell us a little bit about your meandering in terms of some of your learning and what influenced you along the way.
Okay, so when I went to secondary school, we had one art lesson, and we drew the color wheel, and then the teacher died, and we never got another art teacher.
Oh my.
So so that was a bit of a blow, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, but I've always loved painting and drawing, and like I said, playing with plasticine. Um, so I sort of was teaching I taught myself really, and my art education really came from going to that. Like I grew up in the same town as Peter Beard was born in, actually, Southport
Hmm.
in Lancashire. It's quite small. It's about 80,000 people, seaside town, and there's a little library. And I used to go every week, and I basically worked my way through all the art books. So like one week it would be like Art Nouveau furniture. The next week it would be I don't know, African masks. The next week it would be whatever. So I had like a really eclectic grounding in art, and which was good because it means that basically I'm not a snob in any way. Like I like all sorts of art.
Yeah.
Anything that anyone's making, I like it. And also Southport's not far from Liverpool, where they have some really good art galleries and museums. And my mum and dad used to take me to them quite a lot. So I saw a lot of painting. The Liverpool Museum as well has a really fantastic collection of like Egyptian artifacts and other similar things from throughout the world. So basically, that was all my sort of artistic education. I sort of self-taught really.
Mm.
But I was always drawing, painting, um, and then yeah. So because my art teacher had died, I ended up going to university and studying computer science and economics, and then I ended up going. I did a master's in analysis, design, and management of information systems at the London School of Economics,
Mm.
which was which was just a complete waste of time. But in the meantime, I'd sent off some of my drawings to various magazines and stuff. So I started doing a bit of freelance illustration. And then so I told you this was a long story. So I'm doing freelance illustration. Um, then I started doing when I was about 25. I started doing a GCSE in art just part time, just because I wanted to, well, just for fun really. Um, and the guy who was doing it, he said, "Oh, by the way, I do a pottery night class, and you might like it." So I went to Bob's. He was called Bob as well. His pottery night class, and I hadn't been, I'd stopped playing with plasticine when I was about 10 or something, and I hadn't touched clay again till then.
Mhm.
Um, so that's how I sort of reignited with it. And then also because I had the computer background, okay, by the mid 90s, early mid 90s, computers were coming in that you could do art on. So I started doing websites, graphic design and stuff like that. And that was my business basically. So I was doing illustration for and websites and stuff for long time, freelancing. But wherever I was living, there's always a pottery night class that you can go to.
Sure.
So wherever I was living, I was always going to a night class, which is good because I've been to so many different places, and you learn so much that way
Yeah.
because you meet so many different people, and people are always very generous
Hmm.
with their time. So I told you this was a very, very long story, Bob.
It's okay.
Uh, so at some point, like I'm vegan. I've been vegan for like 40 years, and I was very involved in sort of campaigning and activism in the 90s. And through that, I met a guy who he lived in Wolverhampton, and he went to the art college and he studied ceramics there. And I found out that you could do a part-time degree in ceramics. So I went there for I only did about a year. It was supposedly it was part-time, but I used to just go all the time because they'd let you go as long as you wanted.
Yeah.
Um, but I was distracted by other stuff, so I only went for about a year, and then and then I was carrying on with my like freelancing, um, doing computer stuff and whatnot until about 2008, and then there was the financial crash, So I was working for a lot of charities, and they lost their funding, so my money dried up.
Yeah.
But then someone uh, someone at one of the night pottery places that I went to said, "Oh, there's a job going at this place called Kirgate Studios and Workshops," which was like a community pottery in Shipley, which is near Bradford in England. It's a really run down place, but they had this amazing community art studio with a pottery, a woodworking thing. And then I got a job there for a couple of years as the studio assistant, which basically meant I did everything. Like
Yeah.
there was a few tutors. There's a lady called Christine. She's quite an old lady, but she did taught all the classes and basically ran the pottery. And I was like her right hand man, really.
Yeah.
I'd help her do whatever. Um, so I learned a lot from her, and it was really good fun.
Hmm.
But then my wife had twins, and because she had a pretty well paying job, and I was getting paid like peanuts
Yeah.
at the pottery place, I became a stay-at-home dad, and then we had another daughter after 19 months. So we had three children under the age of two.
Mm. Busy
Um,
time.
it was a busy time, so I didn't do any art for 6 years.
Mm.
But then when they went to school, they were old enough. I sort of came to a point where like I've got to get a job now. So I can either get a studio, give it a go, be a full-time ceramic artist, or I can get a job in the local grocery store, like stacking shelves or something. So
Mhm.
I obviously went with the get a studio, and luckily in Leeds there's an organisation called East Street Arts that have they rent out artist studios, but they've got a ceramics unit with kilns and wheels and stuff like that. So yeah, I got a studio with them. That was 10 years ago, and the rest is history, sort of thing. So I told you it was a long and meandering
That's
story.
okay. That's okay. I think often artist's journey is a bit of a meander, like I think some people are more direct. They come out of high school and they go into an art school at a university or a college somewhere, and then out they come as an artist. But there are many stories of people who are like you, life gets in the way, offers us new opportunities, and then out you come doing what you're doing. That's really cool. Hey, now your work, maybe we could describe your work a little bit for the people who are listening. And you've got a wide variety of work that you do, but a lot of it's got, I think about it as kind of an ancient feel to it, and
Yeah.
some animals and human figures. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about sort of what's alive in your work right now and what's drawing you towards it.
Okay, so like I mentioned, when I was younger and I would go to the library and I'd get the different books out,
Hmm.
that just gave me like a real wide set of influences. Also, I've always liked folklore and things like that.
Hmm.
So I'd I'd guess I'm quite eclectic. But also when I was at the London School of Economics, it's just round the corner from the British Museum. I don't know if you've ever been to the British Museum.
Yes, for sure.
It's the most amazing treasury of, to be honest, most of it's been stolen from someone, but like it does give you the opportunity to see it.
Yeah.
And when I was there, I used to go most lunchtimes. And normally, if you go to a museum like that, you're going to start at one room. You're going to look at a lot of stuff, and it's all just gonna, it's just gonna
Overwhelm
melt your
you.
brain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I literally, I could just go and look at one cabinet. So I really like the ancient Mesop Mesopotamian stuff,
Yeah.
from Babylon and
Hmm.
and these places, and they've got a really good gallery. So I'd go and I'd just look at one cabinet. So yeah, so I think um, yeah, I really like ancient things,
Hmm.
and so that comes into my work. I really like folklore, so that sort of comes into my work.
Hmm.
Like I said, I'm a vegan, so I'm interested in the relationship between humans and animals and the environment.
Yeah.
Um, but also because for a lot of time, I spent um, working for charities, producing not propaganda, but like material that was designed to give a message or like logos, things like that. So I'm
Hmm.
also quite interested in telling a story, um, creating impactful things. So I'd say my work really, it's like all my influences sort of swirled up around in my head, and then they come out. And I think the fact that my art teacher died and I never had a formal sort of education, it was in some ways it was a blessing in disguise because I have I invented it all myself.
Hmm.
So I was sort of making it all up as I was going along. And that's sort of given me a bit of a unique um, mishmash style of everything, nothing. It's not like, like in the 20th century, you'd have all these art movements, and it's like, if it's not abstract expressionist,
Hmm.
it's rubbish. And then if it's not pop art, it's rubbish. And then
Yeah, yeah.
if it's not, so like I don't have that. I just like I'll take anything from anywhere.
Mm.
Well, it all goes into my subconscious. It comes out, and it's almost like um, I like to think that a work of art, or I believe that a work of art is only finished in the mind of the viewer.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So I have all these ideas and influences that are swirling around, and somehow they'll come out in my work, but they're all like just like little prompts or clues or whatever. And then when someone reads it, looks at it, they read it. So it's quite interesting because I get quite a lot of interaction on Instagram with people, and people will say all sorts of
Yeah, yeah,
stuff about things that I've made that I've never thought of at
yeah.
all.
Yeah, that's
But
fascinating, isn't it?
yeah, but sometimes like their ideas are great, so I'm like, oh yes,
Yeah,
like I've made this thing, but I didn't see it like that.
yeah, yeah.
But now you've pointed out to me, I do see it like that, and now um I'm gonna run with that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Draw on that idea a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now you've got a piece on your Instagram feed, and of course we'll put up your links to your website and Instagram feed on our stuff so that people can find you. But you've
Mm.
got a piece there that's sort of like I don't know what to call it, kind of an octopus out of the ocean, kind of fanciful character. Do you know the one I mean?
Yeah, it's Cthulhu. It's if your listeners know, there's like a pulp science fiction horror writer from the 1930s called H.P. Lovecraft.
Mm.
Um, and he's quite famous. So that's his. I don't want to upset anyone, but his books are actually quite rubbish. But the sort of mythos that he created
Yeah, yeah,
has sort of has run itself and is really big. Like
yeah.
when I put in that piece, I put hashtag Cthulhu, and there's 796,000 mentions of it. So
Mm.
it's a massive subculture.
Mm.
So yeah, that was a commission piece. Because I'd done some sort of squid and a kraken recently, and one of my sort of semi-regular customers had come to pick something up from my studio, and she was like, "Would you ever consider making a Cthulhu?" And yeah, it's right up my street, so I'm like, "Yeah, of course."
Perfect, perfect for you, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was just going to say it's ironic because one of the first people that I ever sent my work to when I was doing illustration when I was about 20 was Chaosium, who were a games and book publishing company. And I did illustrations for they did reissued some of H.P. Lovecraft's books.
Oh,
And they also had a Call of Cthulhu um, game book. So like when she asked me, like it's something I'm very familiar with. So yeah.
that's full circle, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's very cool. So, can you tell people a little bit about your the clay that you use and the colors and surface design that appeals to you and that you're working with these days?
Sure. So I'm normally using black clay.
Mm.
Um, Sometimes I do more colourful stuff, and I've actually found a really nice red clay recently. So I've started doing a bit of stuff with that. But I'm really into texture. I'm really into patterns. I'm really into like sprigs, like little sprig molds.
Yeah.
Um, because you can just create a very intricate surface, rather than when I first started, I'd be making like hundreds of tiny little individual elements. And then I realized that there's just no way I can do
Yeah.
the detail that I want. So I started, like, I use a lot of buttons. Whenever I go anywhere where there's a button shop, like a haberdasher's, I'll spend like, 2 hours looking at every single button. And then I'll buy like three buttons. And the person who's working there will give me a strange look as to like, why are you spending so much time? Um, So yeah, but sprigs are a really good way of building up a lot of detail. Also, I like a lot of repeated patterns. Um, so you can use, so you get a button that's a little flower. So you can then you've got like it's like building up a vocabulary. So I've got this little flower, so I can use it. Even better, I've got another button that's very similar but slightly smaller. So you've got this. You can build up that. You can have a slightly different size. I really like things that are the same but different.
Mhm.
So I've got some of those. Do you know those tools? They're like a ball on the end of a stick.
Yeah.
There's often a ball on the other end.
Hmm.
So I made a lot of little molds with them, sort of semi hemispheres,
Yeah.
but they're all slightly different sizes. So I can use them, and you can build up like a repeated pattern. Um,
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm sort of aware, Bob, that I keep just going off the track of whatever question you've asked me.
No, that's good. We got talking about surface design, right? And so
Yeah.
you've been talking about sprigs, and I love your story about going into stores and finding buttons and making those into sprigs so that you can put them in a detailed fashion on your work. I mean, I think that's how we work lots of the time. My mom passed away a few years ago, and I inherited her boxes of buttons, and she kept many boxes of random buttons. And so often I'll be rooting around in there looking for something as well. So I can really relate to what you're talking about. Hey, what about color? So you like texture, and you use a lot of sprigs to and those kinds of things to create a lot of detail in your work, which I can see when I
Mhm.
see it. What kind of surface finishing, excuse me, what kind of finishing do you use? Do you use glazes, underglazes with slips? What's your preferred style there?
Well, so I'm if I'm doing something colourful, I'll normally use like underglazes. So, like I quite often make hearts. So if I was making like a heart, I'd use underglazes, like red underglaze, whatever.
Yeah,
And then I use a lot of oxides. So there's a really good, if you do 50/50 copper oxide and manganese
yeah,
dioxide, oxide wash,
yeah,
put it on, wipe it off. It gives that sort of, you were saying my stuff looks quite ancient.
yeah,
So I like things to look as though they might have just been dug up somewhere,
yeah,
like
yeah,
almost,
yeah,
almost like I'm sort in my mind, I'm creating an imaginary universe or culture, so that all of my stuff could have been found somewhere, dug up on a site in the desert somewhere.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, so that would be colourful stuff. But normally I'm more just using the black clay. And the
Hmm,
reason I'm doing that is because if you put a lot of detail into something and then you glaze it, you can quite often you can either obscure it
yeah,
or you can get a sort of a camouflage effect where there's just so much going on that you lose the detail and the crispness. But you were asking about the finish. So yeah, I use the black clay, but I always wash it with cobalt or copper oxide, wipe it off,
yeah,
which gives because the black clay is just a bit dry on its own, but the cobalt or copper oxide gives a very sort of subtle blue undertone or tinge,
yeah.
and it picks up some of the detail. And also by chance, there's a potter supply near here, CTM, and I got some black underglaze from them because I like things like black on black.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, black clay, I'll try black underglaze,
Yeah.
see what happens. By chance, it gives you this effect, and it's like cast iron. So old black cast iron.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Hey, now, do you ever have a time when something gets in the way of you being productive, like self-doubt shows up, or you kind of lose your motivation, or anything like that occur for you?
Everyone gets imposter syndrome
Yeah.
now and again, but I think no. I mean, like I'm 60. I was 60 this year, and it's taken me like a long meandering route to get here, and I sort of feel like I know what I want to do, and I know how I can do it.
Yeah.
Um, so I just do it, and I'm very compelled to make
Hmm.
stuff.
Yeah.
I have a compulsion. Like when it's the weekend, I go to my studio all week,
Yeah.
and when it's the weekend, I'm like, oh no, I wish it was
I wish it was
I wish it
Monday
was
again.
Monday again. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean.
So
Hey, I always ask senior artists like yourself if they have any advice for a younger person or a person who might be emerging in the field. Have you got any advice for somebody?
yes, I would just say mainly find your own voice, because
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of there's a lot of people making ceramics today. Um, and quite a lot of it is quite similar,
yeah,
but also in a way, like I think there's like 2 billion people using Instagram nowadays.
I know.
So if you're, like if my stuff appeals to 0.00001% of people on Instagram, that's still a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And if you have your own voice, the people that like your stuff will really like it, you know,
Yeah.
especially if you're doing something. I mean, I think my stuff's it's got a certain weirdness to it that maybe not appeal to everyone,
Yeah.
but it appeals to a certain amount of people, and the people who like it really like it.
Yeah.
So I have a real lot of people almost they need an intervention, you know, because they keep coming back and buying
Yeah.
more and more stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I would definitely say that would be my number one thing is just develop your own voice, develop your own style, have confidence in yourself. I'd also say get on Instagram or similar. I mean, I find Instagram's the best
Yeah, for sure.
because because if you put stuff on Instagram, um, no matter what level you're at, some people will like it and they'll be encouraging. I mean, like I've been on Instagram about 10 years and I think I've had like one or two like nasty comments in all that time.
Yeah.
And, you know, they were just, I don't know, just sort of like some random idiots.
Yeah.
But I've had like so many encouraging posts. So I think as a young person or someone starting out, that's quite helpful because, like I said, everyone gets the imposter syndrome. Everyone feels, oh, I'm not that good. Um, and also, it's a great way that people can find you. Also, it creates a presence so that if you're reaching out
Hmm.
to a gallery or someone, you can refer them to your Instagram. They can look, they can see that you're a serious person,
Yeah.
that you're doing stuff. I just mentioned actually, during the pandemic, East Street Arts gave me like an artist residency,
Mm.
but it was a virtual one because of the
For
pandemic.
sure. Yeah.
So I did a thing on using Instagram for artists,
Uh,
and it's still up. It's basically it's 30 posts. It's called at Gorillagram 101, and if you go to it and you go scroll to the last post and work forwards, it's like all the things that I'd learned about using Instagram as an artist, but also, do you know, like I was saying when I was doing commercial work for charities and stuff like that, it was all the stuff I'd learnt in that way about,
mm.
telling a story because a lot of projecting your art is about telling a story, creating a narrative, connecting with people,
Yeah.
bringing people in. Um, so, I mean, if people have got the time, have a look at that.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
a lot of it's a bit outdated because times have moved on, but the fundamentals are the same.
Excellent. I'll when we're finished our conversation here, quickly, I'll get a link to that from you, and we'll post that out so that people can see that and check it out. That could be very useful for people. Hey, Drew, thanks
Sure.
so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you being here, and it's been fun meeting you and hearing your stories and hearing a little bit about how you work and how you approach your the clay and the surface, and I'm sure that'll be inspiring for some.
Pleasure. Thanks for asking me.